Welcome to LiveFit with me, Stace Holland, the show where I help you find your fit and find your happy.
I'm so happy.
Well, what's the deal with depression? That's our topic for today. And we all go through bouts of sadness in our lives. But when does it become something where you should be seeking professional help? That's exactly what we're going to be discussing with our guests in studio with us. We have 5FM DJ, MC, voiceover artist, just Wonder Woman, 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 And we also have psychotherapist, relationship expert, and dating expert, Louisa Niehaus, in studio with us. And both ladies have awesome personal journeys that they want to share, but they're going to share some strategies and coping mechanisms that will help you in your journey as well. I think for me personally, and when I realized that I needed to seek out help, was I had gone through a mild funk. I had experienced sadness or anxiety, or just doesn't feel like Stacey feeling. But I knew that I had reached a crux when I was feeling suicidal. And it's weird now that I'm discussing it. I am separate from, it's separate to when I went through it. And yet I still feel that emotion, but I can almost look at it from a distance. And the thing that I think was an anchor was that I never ever wanted my husband or my family to find me in a particular state. So that cycle brought me back, so to speak. But that's when I realized, hey, I always thought I was the one that never experienced depression. I was happy-go-lucky, but I had gone so far low and so down that it got me to that point, which made me think, well, how many of us are dealing with this and how many of us don't speak about it? So we're going to share our personal journeys.
I think if I go back to when the very first time I realized that, okay, this is something that I'm not quite sure how to deal with. I was in a lovely relationship. It was a 5-year-long relationship. I was in my early 20s. My radio career had just kicked off. I was earning way too much money for somebody who was 23. Like, it was ridiculous. Wow. But it didn't matter how much success I had or how great my career was going. My personal life, my family life just wasn't there. It wasn't balanced. So Nix is doing all this good stuff, and now she's got money and she can help with things at the house, or she can help pay for this thing, or a tree's fallen on the house and mom can't afford it, so now she can fix this. But like, everyone was still angry and fighting and whatever, and it didn't matter what I did, it couldn't fix the situation. Then I started realizing that I needed to go to a psychologist. I actually haven't gone to one since, which is probably something we can talk about later. But I went to a psychologist and I was talking about, she was fantastic, by the way, and she was helping me just unpack all the various relationships that I had. And then I realized that the one relationship that I thought was the best was actually the one that was the most toxic.
Oh, wow.
Because this wonderful relationship that I had with a guy, he was pressuring me to be this kind of person. And the kind of person that I wanted to be, he was pulling me back from. Like, no, we had to go to the same braais all the time, hang out with the same people, go to the same, watch the soccer, We went to the same holiday destination for 5 years. Wow. Every holiday. It was the game reserve. Do you know how many times I've seen an impala? So many times. And I just wanted to go to the beach. I wanted to go on a plane. I wanted to go and do things.
Yeah, when you were going to the game reserve all the time, were you like secretly dying inside?
It's like, I'm not even going to take pictures anymore because we've seen this before. Yeah. Yes, it's the big elephant, there's another leopard and whatever.
Led to you getting depressed about your life?
Yes, because I realized that there was a conflict, and I thought I was upset about the family things, but the person, he was stopping me from being who I wanted to be and holding me back. And there was resentment. And I realized, this is going to be deep. I was big into jewelry making with the little tools and the beads and that type of thing. And I was jewelry making late at night on my bed, and I was so upset, and I was trying to be creative and do something. And I realized that I was so upset that I just wanted to take my life. And the little tools that you use, I realized that the little cutters were exactly the right size. And I was like, what are you thinking? What, like, your mother will find you in your bedroom with all and like this, what is going on?
Yeah.
And thankfully I realized what the source of my depression was. And I think for a lot of people, it's a different source. I think for a lot of people, it's chemical. I think for a lot of people, it's circumstantial. It's a relationship. It's work-related or whatever it might be. And I don't want to be the poster child of depression because I don't think mine is the same as everybody else's. Mine is very much circumstantial, work, relationships, feeling valued, having a purpose. Whereas I think a lot of people have chronic depression that is chemical and they do need medication. I don't think I need medication. I think I need someone to speak to just to get me out of that frame of mind.
It's so sad to hear that you've been through something like that. And I know we've shared a personal journey as well. But it's not uncommon for people to reach those super, super low spots. Low mood, depression, it can be so all-consuming and you can feel so alone in it. That's the most frightening thing. You feel like this happens to no one else. No one else experiences the depths of this despair like I do.
I don't know if, like, I felt alone only because, you know, you take yourself through a maze almost. You're like, if I do X, then the result will be this. And then if I do Y, the result will be this. And every time I took myself through that maze, I felt like the options available to me, no one would understand or no one would be able to help me get out of it.
And that's because your frame of mind was so low that you can't see any other alternatives. You can only see A, B, or C. So but because your mood is low, you don't have the capacity to see beyond that. And that's when it becomes very isolating as well. That I call it the dark night of the soul. You sit there and it is just so low, so debilitating. And yes, it's very common to think of thoughts like suicide because people start thinking, well, what's the point? Why am I here? What is my purpose? What can I contribute? So who's going to miss me?
Funnily enough, Nick, you and I met around this time, probably just shortly after I had managed.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Remind me.
So when I shouldn't say met. We met, we'd known each other in the industry. But when I shared my health challenges with you and what I was trying to do to sort out the eczema and all of that.
The skin conditions.
It was just shortly after I'd gotten to this point where I realized that.
And you helped me so much. You helped me so much. I'm like this fabulous woman who is just rocking at everything, has got all the answers, and we were sipping our drinks, and she was like, right, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. I was like, oh, thank God for Stacey.
You know, that's an important point in recovery for depression. You fake it till you make it.
Oh, I hate that term though. I hate that term.
But you have to start. I think it's a different thing. I think it's a personal fake it till you make it. It's a personal, yes, I'm feeling absolutely dreadful this morning. I've contemplated suicide. I do not want to be here. But you know what? I'm going to brush my teeth. I'm going to put some clothes on and I'm going to walk out there.
Both of our turning points, family was the anchor that pulled us out, or the anchor
saving grace.
Because you thought about what would your mother say.
Yeah, and I thought about my husband, and then I have a special needs sister, so it was also like
it's almost this. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Because we're still putting them before us.
Yes, because that's still what happens from now, right?
It's like, damn it! It's like I would have been resting by now. That's a horrible thing to say.
No, but I understand the thinking.
But I was so worried about you that I'm still here suffering.
But for me, it was my worry about you possibly also led me here. It was, I bring up my sister, and again, she's special. She had her first seizure at 8 months old. She's never had a normal life. She has had up to 100 seizures a day. She has knocked herself, been in ICU at like 5 years old or 6 years old. I already knew what to do if she had a seizure, so that I could inform family members. So that pressure of wanting to help her live the best life that she could possibly live is why I wanted to get into certain careers, is possibly also what exacerbated that low feeling, because I felt as if I'm constantly letting her down. And this is what I sought therapy for with you. And then by the same token, that's what was my saving grace when I actually researched
so
on
it's
how
a conundrum
to end this
because
thing.
you've always been a very responsible person and you've been taught to be very responsible from a young age. And what you're saying again is your responsibility allowed you to move out of this really, really dangerous situation.
Which is, I feel that's where we have a lot in common, is that we are both, we don't litter because it's the good thing to do, not because anyone told us, you know what I mean? And we're conscious with how we put food in our bodies and where it comes from and things like that. So it is that responsibility.
Everything that we do still doesn't make it better.
Yeah.
It still doesn't make the thing better. It's like that.
What do you mean by that? Doesn't make it better?
Because it doesn't matter how good you are, how hard you work.
It's never good
enough. People
enough.
will still be in the situations that they're in because they need to get themselves out of those situations. We can't do it for them. We can't help.
Well, yes.
You can't help
can
the
only
sister
change
get better.
yourself.
Yeah.
You can only change your way of thinking.
But we still feel as if
we're the heroes.
Yeah, and we need to.
Yeah.
Even if it's even after doing sessions with you, in some shape or form, I can't let it go completely.
Yeah, but because it's been instilled in you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if it propels your life and you are not living an authentic life, that's when you're going to start to get super depressed, just like you did. It's your story is a case in point. Not living an authentic life, feeling that parts of you are not your own. Eventually, you feel like a dried up husk. You don't know who you are. You don't know who you can talk to about this because you yourself feel cut off from who you are.
It's normal.
Depression, as you alluded to earlier, it can be in reaction to certain things. So, for example, your marriage breaks up. You have a bad breakup. You lose your job. Someone dies. All those sorts of things. That's a reactive depression. You react to that. That's normal.
If someone comes to you and they're going through that, you'd be like, this is normal.
This is normal. It would be abnormal if you didn't experience that. You'd be pathological.
When is it something that we should... When does the sadness that leads to depression, that leads to dysfunction in your life?
Okay, so
what are the links that we can...
If it extends for a period longer than 3 months and it impedes your everyday living, I would definitely go out and seek professional help. Whether you have to take medication, whether you have to see a therapist and talk it through, but if it starts affecting your life that you can't cope with daily living, or that you're having recurrent suicidal thoughts, not even if it goes beyond the thoughts where you start actually planning how to do this. So be aware of your medications as well, and if there are any side effects which could contribute towards depression.
Yeah. I wish I could speak to you the whole day. Like, we're running out of time, but I cannot explain to you how important it was to get this message across, and I cannot explain to you how, like, proud is not the right word, but how I admire you for sharing what you did with me. Like, because it is so hard to be so vulnerable. And I know the amount of people that you're going to help by just sharing that. Don't make me tear up. I'm not going to look at you.
Look somewhere.
I know how difficult it is, but I also know that by releasing that baggage, you're helping someone else take that weight off their own shoulders if there's no one to help them through it as well.
Definitely.
I'd like to just add that there are so many people in the public eye or ear or space that are going through so much, so much, and they are faking it while they are making it. And I admire them for their strength. And there are a lot of people that look at them and also get inspiration from them. But I just hope that everyone understands that at the end of the day, we're all the same inside and we're all going through struggles. And it's not a sign of weakness. It doesn't mean that you're not being successful. It doesn't mean that you are not living your best life. Just go easy on yourself. And if you need to speak to someone, speak to someone. But don't for a second think that you are not good enough because you're having a bad day or a bad few days or a bad few months. I'm not less of a person because I have depressive tendencies. Neither are you. No one is. And you don't have to be as honest and as upfront because it makes you more vulnerable. And I get that. There's a level of anxiety there like no other. But it's not a sign of weakness. And I really, really hope that people know that there is help on every level. And talking about it you don't have to go to your Insta stories like I do, but speaking to your loved ones.
Just find a way for catharsis to take place.
And I think also just to remember that this is all part of us being human. It's part of the human conditions. It's like having sun and it's like having rain.
I love that.
It's human.
So, I mean, in our Eat segment, we're actually going to discuss the foods that you can eat and consume that could trigger certain mood tendencies or dysregulate your mood. And then maybe there's some foods that can help you balance your hormones, balance neurotransmitters, and help you cope and function. So you got to look out for that as well. Tea is one of my favorites. I love to have a good cup of tea or mug of tea, and somehow it's very healing for me and it helps me settle down, whereas coffee stimulates me. And if I'm in an anxious state or in a depressed state, I definitely shouldn't be consuming caffeine. So look out for that in our Eat segment. But guys, thanks so much for joining us on LiveFit with Stace. Thank you for this conversation. It was so healing and so needed. Thank you. So this week we're talking about depression. Now, when it comes to depression, a lot of science has linked serotonin, which is an important neurotransmitter in your brain. Neurotransmitters help with the chemical messages, that need to happen between the brain and the body. So they're messengers. And because of this link between serotonin and depression, I found some supplements, and Salal sent over some supplements that I find very exciting within this realm. Many people have what they call medical-induced or medicine-induced deficiencies from their antidepressants. Many people say that they struggle, they're trying to get off their antidepressants. I'm not in any way saying that you should if you are on antidepressants, but if you are struggling with mood and anxiety, I'm quite excited about these particular supplements. One of them being 𝗪𝗎. 𝗪𝗎 was discovered in Italy around 40 years ago, 4 decades ago, and it's S-adenosylmethionine. And it's been shown to improve this relationship between serotonin or production of serotonin in the brain, therefore regulating your mood. It improves mood and it balances your neurotransmitters. It's in a tablet form. And the dosage here is quite a decent dosage as well. So although you don't need a doctor's prescription for this, I think that people will definitely see some good results on the 400 milligram dosage that is available in this. You take 1 tablet twice a day. Another exciting one that I've actually tried myself is 5-HTP. Yep. And that stands for 5-hydroxytryptophan. And this is also important for the regulation of serotonin in the body as well. It may even help with cravings, and people that are on antidepressants often say that they start craving sugary things, and some supplementation with 5-HTP can assist with that. And again, it's quite a decent amount. Normally you need a prescription for this, but this you do not need a doctor's prescription to use in this particular dosage. Then inositol is an interesting one because I did a Braverman test, and we'll add that as a resource for you on the website or on social media as well. But in my Braverman test, my results show that I actually need higher dosages of inositol. And it is a form of carbohydrate or sugar, and it helps with mood, stress, and sleep, and it promotes a healthy nervous system and is involved in the production of serotonin in the body. So great supplement to use as well. So one of my favorite supplements, I've been using it for a very long time. I often use it in a powdered form, which I add into smoothies. This is nice because it's in a capsule form. The dosage is a nice dosage as well. It helps with mood, stress, and sleep, and it's known as ashwagandha. Now, ashwagandha has been used in Ayurvedic medicine for centuries, even in Chinese herbal medicine as well. It's known as the Indian ginseng, and the name actually means smell of the horse because it deals with energy as well. It's an adaptogenic herb, and what an adaptogenic herb does is it helps your body deal with stress. It helps you adapt. So when it comes to depression, people often find that they struggle to adapt, and these are nice supplements to support the body. They're all natural. They all promote good mood regulation, good sleep, and the ability to handle stress as well. In our Eat segment, I'm going to share some simple and easy recipes that you can incorporate into your health and wellness journey. They really help me, and I say that they're simple and easy because I am by no means a foodie, nor am I a chef. We'll put up all the ingredients on screen, and you can screen grab that and share it with your friends and family, or save it for a later date when you want to try it as well. So many people that go through depressive states often say that they crave chocolate, and they believe that it helps them with feelings of depression, anxiety, irritability. And that's probably because of some of the feel-good hormones and neurotransmitters that chocolate helps stimulate. I'm not a fan, though, of the commercial version of chocolate because of the processed ingredients in it, but I'm a huge fan of the superfood version. Rich in magnesium, high in fiber, and as I mentioned, it helps boost neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine as well. In fact, in ancient cultures, it was known as ambrosia, or the food of the gods. It was traded as currency and referred to as black gold gold. So we really are dealing with an amazing product here. The version that I'm using, the cacao and cacao butters, are organic. They're non-GMO, which I think is important when you're dealing with superfoods. And we're gonna make our own chocolate. If you're going through a funk or you're feeling a little depressed or a little bit down, it might help you to find an activity that's a good and pleasant distraction, and making chocolate might be a good one. And we're gonna show you step by step how to do that. Okay, so we've got some pitted dates, dry pitted dates. You'd need to soak these unless you have a really powerful blender. And then I'll show you the soaked version. You can soak them for about an hour. Some people get rid of the water or the syrup. I think you can keep it in, or you can keep it for smoothies, to sweeten your smoothies. But then the dates are a lot softer. You're gonna blend those dates as well. Now, you could use raw cacao butter and raw cacao paste, or you can use the cacao butter and the cacao powder. Either one. Sometimes it's difficult to find the paste, sometimes it's difficult to find the butter. If you struggle to find the butter, you can add something like coconut oil into your recipe as well. The butter gives it that silky feel. Okay, so I'm going to melt this down. I need a metal bowl, or if you have a double boiler, you can use that instead. Or if you have a ceramic bowl, you can use that instead. Obviously not something like this, you want something round. We're gonna place our butter in here and just wait for that to start melting. Keep stirring it as well. It almost looks like a ghee or a butter, like when you melt butter. It's got the same color, it'll have the same texture and consistency, but you can smell that it has cacao in it. It smells like chocolate. Divine. I know that some people actually might be expensive, but some people use this as a body butter. And because you can use a really little amount, it goes a long way. So it depends where you can find it. Again, when it comes to superfoods, I prefer to know that it is non-GMO, that it is organic. Speak to the manufacturers or the importers or the suppliers. Many of them are accessible on social media, which is important. I only add in my cacao powder once this is completely melted. Just takes a few minutes, depending on how much water you have in your pot underneath. We're almost there. So as I mentioned, you can flavor it or sweeten it with agave nectar or with honey. I prefer raw honey. I just love the taste of raw honey. And I like the antimicrobial, antifungal properties of honey as well. There's differing opinions that I've read on how agave nectar affects your insulin sensitivity or your spike, your response, your glucose metabolism. I believe that honey is slightly better from some reports, but I suppose it just depends on you. If you're completely vegan, then you'd obviously opt for agave honey or even coconut nectar, coconut sugar over raw honey. I said agave honey, I meant agave syrup. Some people call it agave. So you'll hear different pronunciations when it comes to superfoods like quinoa, cacao, cocoa. Actually, I found out those are different, but I'll share that with you another time. So this is almost melted, and we'll get ready to pour in our raw cacao powder. And this is where you just want to whisk it together, make sure that there are no lumps in the liquid mixture. And they really blend and mix quite easily. You'll see a few specks and grains from the cacao powder. It's never going to be completely smooth. It's not processed. While this is melting, we're going to blitz our dates in a food processor or a blender. So I've already put the soaked dates inside here. And if you want it less watery, which sometimes helps your chocolate set better, then obviously you can just strain them. But as they've been sitting in here, the water's been draining out. It's not too bad. It'll just change the consistency of your chocolates.
fit and find your happy.
I just breathe in. I don't feel stressed. Watching soccer with my dad makes me relax. I tell them what they must do to help themselves and to back up for them. Leo has to find a way to go back home. I calm them down. Making a cup of coffee makes my mom relax. I hug them and kiss them. When my brothers cry, I will hug them and tell them that I love them. I feel it in my brain and my body. Because it's fun. Bouncing is fun for me. It's when you worry too much. That means I'm lost. When you get nervous and then you start to sweat.
Oh, what a great way to spend some time with a few kids is to bounce around. You know, I was like an adult when I came here. I was stiff in my body, stiff in my thinking, and kids aren't like that. They fall around, they have some fun, and at the end of the day, the reason why we need to exercise is because we stop playing, we stop moving, and we stop having fun. If you're struggling with any mood disorders, anxiety, depression getting the best of you, then maybe this is what you need to do, is come and bounce around and act like a kid again.
Personalized medicine and DNA testing has become quite popular of late. The reason being, well, one man's food is another man's poison, and we need to zero in on what makes us individuals as human beings and how that affects our health. And so I've done a number of DNA tests, and I have seen how they've influenced my health decisions thereafter. For example, I learned that if I eat charred food or brine meat, for example, it sends my estrogen metabolism pathways into a negative pathway. I also learned that I have the tendency for oxidative stress and inflammation. And since we're talking about depression in this episode, there is an interesting test available from a local lab, D-Analysis, and it's called DNA Mind. Now, what they do is they test 30 genes, and they have strong associations with key neurological disorders or mental health disorders. Why would you want to do this test? Well, it would help you avoid the onset of mental health disorders. It's quite easy to do. You can do it in the comfort of your own home. You can head online and order your test, or you can speak to one of your practitioners to order your test. After you've done your test, a courier company will come and collect your kit, and it's that simple and that easy. You do not have to worry about privacy. All the information is in your DNA test, where they explain to you how to do it and how your information is kept safe as well. So it's quite easy. You have a client form in here where you can indicate which tests you'd like to do. For example, we're doing DNA Mind, but there are various other tests that are available. You fill in your details and you place that back into the box. There's also a sticker that you complete with your name and your surname and the date, the collection date. That's quite important. You want to make sure that the courier company picks this up as soon as possible. And then there's a swab in here. You've got to be careful once you start opening the swab. There is a swabbing process. It's on the inside of the box. They show you step by step how to do that. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. So you have to remove the swab from the tube, and you have to take care not to touch the white swab head with your fingers. I'm following the instructions that are in the box. Fairly easy. You want to make sure you don't touch that with your fingers. Your next step is to insert the swab into your mouth. You rub firmly against the inside of your cheek. And for standard DNA collection, you rub for about 1 minute. So I'm going to make sure my crew is timing me. Guys, do we have 1 minute? Okay, you use reasonable but firm pressure. Again, you make sure that you don't touch the swab head with your fingers. You place that back into the tube. Ta-da! You take your sticker that you've completed prior to doing the swab. And you place that onto your tube, like so. Okay, voila, it's done. Easy as pie. You place that back into the box, and you head onto the 𝗓𝗪𝗔 website. You make sure that you arrange your courier collection. And so there you have it. You wait until your results are ready. Your practitioner can email those results to you as well. They'll probably sit with you to explain them because it is quite in-depth. But if you want to find out about the various DNA tests available, why don't you head onto our website, livefitwithstace.com, and interact with us on social media. I'd love to hear whether you've done a DNA test, whether you're thinking about it, are you scared about doing it? Our handles are @livefitwithstace.